Okay, hello. This is the Leading Groups workshop, and so we're just going to go over a couple little worksheets. The first part is about attention getters. So if we were doing this in person, I would have shown you what an attention getter is, uh, but we're not. So there's a bunch of things that we can do for attention getters. And so attention getters are basically things where you're trying to get all of your campers' attention at the same time, and you either do something fun, you do something where everyone responds, and you're basically very enthusiastic about it. Uh, so obviously there's various things you can do, but here's a list of attention getters that you can do that like work really well with kids. So there's like the listen. If you can hear me, clap once. If you can hear me, clap twice. Blah blah blah. And then so it's like the hey, can't catch them, or like um, hey, listen up, listen up, and like quiet coyote. But then there's also we can teach you guys this at pre-camp training, but the bang bang clap, the bang clap clap. Um, we did it once at one of the last meetings, but we can go over it again as well. And then we also during the in-person training, we Merida was leading it, and so she would toss up a ball in the air, and while it's in the air, everyone would scream. And so every time you would do that, your campers would know that you're trying to get their attention because then they'd want to yell. So um, there's just a bunch of different things that you can do. And then the 1, 2, 3 eyes on me really works well for small kids, honestly. I like used it when I was babysitting the other day, and it is wild how they actually know how to listen to it. It's so funny. Um, you could also sing the first line of a popular song. So Sweet Caroline, I don't know, I feel like these are getting older for the kids, so they don't know, but we do. And so maybe like SpongeBob SquarePants would look the best. And then let's see. Cool. So yeah, so there's just other things in there, like you can clap with the campers, but definitely read over these as I scroll through them. Well, now I'm scrolling backwards, but they're super easy to do, and it helps when you're trying to lead a group because as you're leading groups, again, you want to communicate things clearly, but in order to communicate things clearly, people have to be listening to you in the first place. So, very fun. Um, so, we are not going to talk about the rules. So, that technique was also covered in the communication workshop. Uh, but basically, let's see. When you're trying to lead a group, rather than talking about the rules, you want to give examples of it. And it's really sort of hard to give you an example of it when we're not in person and we can't be doing this together. But um, if you have any questions about it, just go ahead and watch the communications workshop. So basically, when you're like trying to tell someone what to do, just be the role model that they need you to be at that point. So then, by giving the example of what you're expecting, there aren't any really inconsistencies. So you can verbally explain what you're expecting, but also you can show it as well. Okay, so basically, this is when we would debrief anything that we had done together. Um, so what are the best techniques for getting campers talking about the activities they participate in? So this is like debriefing for your campers when um, you are with them. And so, why is it important to process experiences at camp? What are other fun activities that get kids thinking about what they learned at a particular activity? And what are some at camp examples of when you will be leading groups? So some easy ways of having reflection time for your campers is right before cabin chat or before meal times when you're all together and when you're about to leave the cabin. You could ask them like all a question like, what was your favorite part about the last activity that we did? Or you can just ask them guided questions about like what did you learn or what was your favorite part and why, and just things like that, especially because it will make the programming of camp seem more intentional and also make them realize that they are learning a lot more than they actually expected. Um, and then why is it important to process these experiences at camp? Again, as I said before, as I like sort of just previously said, when they're reflecting on these experiences, they'll see that they've gained a lot more than just the service level things. And it's also a great way for you to get to know your campers and what they really value and what they've taken out of things. Um, so one of the best ways to be a good counselor for them is to get to know them as well as you can, as soon as you can. And so asking these guided reflection questions after activities, before cabin chat, all of that can really be beneficial. Okay, let me see. Okay, so here are some debriefing questions that you can do. So for cooperating, when you're debriefing on it yourself, how does cooperation look like, or what does cooperation look like? When today did you think we cooperated? So by asking, these are some guided questions that you could ask them. So then you could first you ask yourself, but also so that you can make them more guided and show them some skills that they want to develop in the future that will be beneficial to them as people, just in general. And so, how did it feel to cooperate? Um, how did our cooperation make it easier to be successful in getting blank done, etc., and then making group decisions? How did we make group decisions today when we were doing etc. blank? Why were you satisfied slash unsatisfied the way the decisions were made? Obviously, like you could change up the verbiage just so that it is more appropriate for the age group that you're with. And so I'm just going to slowly scroll through this so you can read through it. And then you can definitely think about how you would phrase it. It doesn't necessarily have to be these questions, but these are just things that you can ask them about. Like we can go over leadership roles because again, we're not just developing them as campers, we're developing them as complete holistic people, and leadership skills are very important, and they will definitely be leaders within their communities once they go back to school, once they grow up and they're in college. I can for sure tell you that they'll probably be leaders in the custom community. So it's awesome. Following others, self statements. Giving and receiving feedback, trust and support, closure, technique variation. So when you are debriefing in a group, it can be done in a multitude of ways. So you can do an open forum where you just circle up the group and give them an opening statement. And then sometimes this works. If it doesn't, make sure you just have a guided question that you can just ask everyone just to help them a little bit more. So yeah, so it can be hard to get some campers to voluntarily speak up and share their ideas. So again, if they don't necessarily open up first, then you could try giving them an example to help them. If not, totally okay. Questioning. So you could try to think of like a theme that you want the talk to be about. So obviously this would probably be like right before cabin chat. It could be a part of your cabin chat, however you want to do it, however the unit leader decides. These are just some ways to get to know your campers, and they don't always have to be as formal as this. And then rounds, this technique involves every member in your group because they're each asked to respond to a stimulus you provide them. So you could do single word responses or on a number scale, or you could do a word or short phrase, or you could have more in-depth responses. And then you can also use metaphors as well, which will probably help with like little kids, so that you could try to, if you're looking for a certain example of like leadership or something like that, you can put it in context of what they would see somewhere else rather than at camp. And telling them that just to have these, show them that to have the characteristics that we're looking for and that we really want them to develop can happen in everyday things that they do as well as at camp. So, awesome. And then these are games to make small group. So these games, hold on, let me make sure there's nothing left on here. Yeah, so we did the debriefing part, but these are just some games you can play within your small group just to get to know everyone. So there's the birthday breakup. You can have everyone line up alphabetically, or not alphabetically, but like in order of their birthdays. So then they get to know each other. Um, there's also this cell phone game. Uh, I've never played Mingle Mingle, but it sounds really cool where you have the entire group crowd into the middle of space and you say Mingle Mingle over and over again. And the leader shouts out a number and the group has to divide itself into groups that size. Interesting. That sounds fun. So this is something you could even do in transitions or just for really, this would be great for transitions because if you don't really know what to do and you do have like a large group, say like you have a couple cabins together in one spot just waiting, like we could play one of these games. Um, there's the clump. I don't really know what this is, but you can read about it. Then there's ship to shore, which we play a lot. And so one player is chosen as the captain who calls out all of the commands. And then, so if you yell to the ship, you go to the right. Um, if you yell to the island, you go to the left. Again, hit the deck, you lay on your stomach. Attention on deck, you salute and go, aye, aye, captain. Um, and we can send these out if you want to know more about them. But basically, they'll tell you what to do before you start, and a bunch of the kids will have played before, so like they'll know how to do it. Because like it's a very long game. But that is the end of leading groups, and it would have been fun, totally fun to play with you. But maybe we'll play a game before camp at pre-camp training. But that's the end of this training video, and then you can just take the quiz, make sure you get 100% or else you haven't passed. Perfect. If you have any questions, let me know, and then we'll probably also send out a folder of all the handouts so that you can read over them if you want to read over like these rules or like some of the debriefing strategies more in depth. Cool. See ya.